Hello, everybody, and welcome to the September 12th Trips and Traps. Andy Serling, Eric Donovan.
Short week to races from opening weekend at Belmont to bring you only 2 racing days, but we did dig deep and find 4 races to bring you, including the Bowling Green. We'll get to that in just a moment, but we'll start off with the race prior to the Bowling Green on opening day Saturday here at Belmont. It's a maiden special weight for 2-year-old fillies going 7 furlongs on the turf.
This is a race where Eric is much more interested in the horse than I am, though I guess the second place finisher Mobilized, and I'll let you go, and certainly I didn't see anything that otherworldly about this performance, but maybe she ran a little better than it appears.
Yeah, I thought she ran well in here. I think it's a race that kind of comes apart in the final stages, and I thought she made a 3-wide move at the end of the far turn there to go up and compete with horses that were getting a little bit tired there. And I think this is a decent maiden special weight for 2-year-old fillies. I'm not going to say that any of these horses are going to go out and win Grade 1s, but I think they'll be useful. I think there's a potential you'll get some stakes horses out of this field.
Yeah, I'm gonna respectfully disagree.
Okay.
She's in fourth in the sort of familiar Janny Silks there, and I will not disagree that this is a premature move by Javier Castellano. I'm not exactly sure what his big hurry was in this race, and if you look at the chart, it's fairly obvious. The winner is 10th, a quarter of a mile into it, and you see the winner's well back, or I think might be last actually in the picture right now, and the horse who finishes third is 11th at this point. So in some ways, this race did kind of come apart a little bit. I don't have any opinion one way or the other how good this race is going to turn out. And of course, the winner was another Christophe Clement juggernaut horse. Javier was a little over-aggressive, though, with Mobilize.
Yeah, I thought, if Mobilize would have just sat a little bit more back in, that second pack of horses, she would have been better off in here. And the 2-horse, the winner of the race, Bikini Beauty's coming in from a little bit behind there. And Bikini Beauty took a good amount of action in this race, took a lot of early money, drifted up to 5-1 in the final stages, was definitely well meant here.
Yeah, I'm curious what about this field makes you think, and you said that you think there's stake horses coming out of it. It's kind of a bold statement. What about the horses in here do you think was particularly better than just the average race?
Well, I think Mobilize is solid here. I think this was a good effort. I think the breeding's there for this horse to continue to get a little bit better, in the final stages. The way Bikini Beauty was bet, I'm not a big fan of Bernardini's first time out on the turf, and this one was ready to go. A nice pedigree here, and she gallops out nicely here. And I just thought that Mobilize made that maybe a little bit too premature a move there around the turn, and not saying that she would have beaten Bikini Beauty on this day because she was definitely the goods, but I think would have been a lot closer. And I think there's some room for improvement between these two.
Well, sure. I mean, you have 3 of the first 4 finishers were first-time starters, so you certainly would expect them to improve. I didn't look to see any figs in this race, so I can't really judge it as far as get a general sense for it, but we'll see going forward. And I don't disagree that Mobilize definitely moved too soon in there.
All right, we'll take a look at the Bowling Green now. Race number 8 on the Saturday card. The big favorite here, Boisterous, going off at 3-5, and Johnny Velasquez had the mount on Boisterous, who gets stuck down on the inside with some traffic.
Yeah, it's sort of the problem of having the inside post, especially in a race, and this is an easy horse to watch because it's in those familiar black and cherry Phip Silks. You've got a heavy favorite, and you've got the rail in a race that has no speed on paper. And, I keep going back as we watch a lot of races over and over again, and we talk these races, to what Richard Migliori says about getting your position going forward. Mm-hmm. And it feels like Johnny, who obviously one of the best riders in the country, he was a little quick to sort of cede the lead. And maybe, once again, if he had sort of gone forward a little bit with Boisterous, who's not that slow early, maybe you get a little more separation in the field. And by getting some separation, he doesn't have to get himself completely trapped inside, because this horse ends up getting badly victimized.
Badly victimized, and we'll see later down in the stretch an actual great piece of race riding by Cornelio Velasquez, knowing that he has Boisterous to beat and keeping him pinned down inside. But you see here, this is the kind of position that, sometimes you hope to get, sometimes, you hate to get, because, if you get through, it's great, it works out wonderful. You sat on the rails the whole way, you saved all the ground. If you don't get through, you're on the best horse here, you don't get a fair shot to run through the stretch.
Yeah, ultimately, I'm not sure he's the best horse, and that's something I wanted to talk about. One of the reasons I wanted to show it. Also, I don't want this position at 4-5. I don't mind this position at 30-1 when I'm hoping to get a little lucky in a big field. I don't want this position at 4-5. I want to be where Hyper is. And I think that Hyper with Javier, I think Javier knew exactly where Johnny was, knew what to do, knew when to move, and it doesn't matter going that wide at Belmont Park. You're much better making this clear move. I thought Finnegan's Wake ran extremely well in this race, and you see Boisterous down the inside. You're going to see him almost bounce off the hedge. In fact, he probably does inside here, and really just in a very tough, tight position. Finnegan's Finnegan's Wake, who improved with a fourth-place finish in a collapsed race in the Arlington Million. He had no pace to run into. He makes that move. I thought Finnegan's Wake, I think he's a quietly improving horse. I'm not sure how good Boisterous is. Johnny was really overcommitting inside, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I guess once you're down to that point here, and now you see Finnegan's Wake come up outside, and, Canino Velasquez keep him pinned down inside there on Finnegan's Wake. And, I guess it's one of those things, once you commit there, it's hard to get out unless you're going to make a, kind of a herky-jerk move at the top of the stretch and kind of try to pull him back and wheel him outside.
Well, that's why when you look at the race and you know beforehand it's a small field, there isn't much pace on paper, and you've got the rail, it's easy to envision this happening, and it was easy for Cornelio Velasquez on Finnegan's Wake, as well as very much Javier Castellano, to see this happening. And they were kind of waiting for it, I think, to happen. And they ended up being in a position where they could victimize Boisterous. I think that's why Johnny maybe needed to, and listen, it's easy in hindsight, and it's not trying to criticize him. It's talking about these situations going forward. If you're a little more aggressive going forward and you quicken that pace up and you spread the field out a little bit more, you give yourself a better chance to get out. Because let's say he quickens up a little bit and Quick Casablanca goes off a little bit faster and there's a little separation. He can ease off the rail and sit in that golden stalking spot, a spot that Johnny very much likes against a lot of Fletcher horses. And I just think it's a general racing concept as opposed to this race in general. Here's my question, though, with Boisterous. He kind of got good this summer. He didn't beat the best of fields when he won that Grade 1 Man of War. He's a really neat horse that's kept his form for years, but I'm not sure he was as good as some people thought he was getting, and I think he's going to get a little overrated off this trip. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of like Finnegan's Wake out of this group going forward. What if he got just a faster pace to run into? Maybe he would have run them all down.
It's a good point. I think Finnegan's Wake going forward is probably the one you want out of here. He's probably going to be the best price of the top three finishers, and he's the type of horse to me that I think is going to benefit from getting in a race with a little bit bigger field, maybe get some more pace, get some hit. Now, I will say this, though. The races, if you're looking at the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic, some of these races, they're going to get tougher. There's going to be some better horses. There's probably going to be some Europeans, I got to imagine, coming over for races like this and Breeders' Cup. But you know what? Finnegan's Wake, to me, is the kind of horse that, even if the race is tough, he gets a little pace, he gets a big field there. He can be a little bit overlooked maybe in a race against some tougher horses at a good price.
Yeah. I like him going. He's also a 4-year-old, Eric, that seems to be quietly coming into his own his last two starts. And he had things go his own way in certain ways in the Arlington Million. Anyway, it's an interesting food for thought. I also think it's interesting to discuss these races and project them into other situations going forward.
Absolutely. Well, one more race to bring you, and we'll take a look at the 9th race.
Two races.
I'm sorry, two more races to bring you. We'll take a look at the second race now from September 8th, Sunday. That's a maiden special weight for 2-year-olds going a mile on the main track.
Yeah, and this is a situation where Mosler takes advantage. It was the gold rail on the dirt track this weekend, keep in mind. And rebranded the heavy favorite, the 5. You see him in the back of the pack. He breaks about a length slow. He had no real trouble. He just breaks slow. Once this happens, and on this track with the gold rail, and Mosler gets the lead, race is over for Rebranded. He can't win. My problem is, why at this point doesn't John Velasquez drop Rebranded over towards the inside, try to tuck in behind horses, take this situation, and try to make something good out of a bad situation. Say, okay, I'm beat. I'm probably not going to win this race. But now I've got a second time starting 2-year. Let me try to teach him something. Let me drop him down the inside. Let me go inside the 1. Let me get him inside. Let me try to save the ground because I'm not going to win. Maybe I can get second. Maybe I can get lucky. You're not going to get lucky going 4 or 5 wide like he did. I think this was a mistake and a missed opportunity to maybe educate this horse a little bit going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many people are really in tune with the bias, especially this is early in the card on Sunday as well. You just come off of opening day. And, even a shrewd guy like Johnny might say, you know what, it's early. Let's see how it goes. And I'm not going to put this horse down inside. If he's got any chance to win, it's probably going to be outside in a clear run.
I'm going to disagree on 2 levels.
Okay.
One, it's their jobs to know the bias. This is their jobs. They're jockeys. They have to pay attention. People saw that it was an inside track that watched the first 2 or 3 races, so they have to have this in their mind going in. I don't think it's excusable when riders aren't aware of the bias, especially a Hall of Fame rider like John Velasquez, who's one of the great riders in the game. He has to know that. But even aside from that, even if it was an even track, Eric, and you see him just in the middle of the field going nowhere, and he's going to finish last for Brandon, and he's going to look a lot worse than he is coming out of this race. He can run this horse. Forgetting about that, even if it's an even track, Eric, try to educate him. What I'm saying is, forget about the bias. Just don't go out the 4 or 5 path and just say, I'm beat. I'm just going to stick him out here. I'm frustrated. Obviously, he's frustrated. I don't blame him for being frustrated. But you know what? That's not the point. The point is, now you have an opportunity to try to teach him a little something, because these are young horses. Rebranded's career was not going to be made by or lost by his performance ultimately in this race, but it could have been an opportunity to turn a bad thing into at least a not horrendous thing. And I just think the horse got nothing out of this race.
He got nothing, and you know what? I mean, just looking at him, the way he ran again, I wonder if maybe there wasn't something else, but if he just wasn't feeling 100% that day, because he breaks slow, he's kind of lethargic in the stretch, not the kind of effort you would have expected out of this horse. Even with the bias situation, you'd expect expect him to make a run, and he really never made any kind of significant run in the race.
That's all fair. That's all fine. He did make a little bit of a run.
A little bit.
And obviously, when you see a top place horse not break sharply, I usually think it's a negative. It's one thing when he had the rail in the first time, because his horses are usually ready and they break very well. So that's fair, and I can accept that. The point is, I just don't think that Johnny ever gave him any chance to get anything out of the race. I think it's an unfortunate situation. And I also think we're branded. We'll see what happens. Will he end up at Gulfstream next time? If he's fine, Todd will run him back again, because this is a horse they like. We'll see what he does next time. He's going to run a lot better. This is, for me, I can completely dismiss this race.
Okay, one more race to bring you now, and that's the 9th race from September 8th, a filly mare, 9 winners, 1 allowance, going a mile on turf.
Louis Size is a terrific rider, and it's interesting to watch him move forward and improve as he gets more. This situation where he's riding the 5 Queen of Mambo, I think there was a second when he actually could have gone forward and maybe taken that inside position away from the eventual winner, the one sustained, and instead, once again, I keep thinking of Migliori, getting your position going forward. This horse, Queen of Mambo, she loses her position a lot of the race going backwards, and she actually ran okay here.
Yeah, she did run very well. I mean, worst case scenario, you want to maintain your position here. You're in a pretty good spot. You're not on the rail. You're in behind the leaders. You got a one horse to your outside there. I think you want to try at all costs to be where you are. Now, I understand this horse is in front of you that might be coming over. Race starting to, pack up a little bit and tighten up a little bit. But still, you got to figure out a way to keep this horse where he is now, sitting 5th, and not be able to drop back to almost, second to last.
And not just that, Eric. She has the horse to beat Sustained. The filly inside of her is the second choice in here. So, you talk about boisterous, understanding who is inside or around you, and maybe he wants to try to keep position to keep Sustained in. And I see what you're saying, because he's behind that horse in the 2-path, and maybe, Sustained got the inside run because nobody was there, and I like being the 2-path, but it does feel like, you're going to watch Queen of Mambo. She's going to get shuffled back nearly the back of the pack, and even Fraze, who ends up finishing second here, she gets a position ahead of her going around the turn, and it just feels like Queen of Mambo, she's back to third to last. She really lost any fair chance she had. She's behind horses now. You can't really see her, but she is in the 3-path and about third to last. I like the fact that she picked it up. She ran 4th. She got beaten about, 3.5 lengths in this race. This was her first start in a long time. She's a better horse. She looks on paper, and I think she's going to run very well next time she runs.
I agree with you. This was a solid effort, and things break a little bit easier for her next time out. She'll certainly be a big factor. She did run 2 nice turf races earlier on in 2013, one down at Gulfstream and one at Tampa Bay Downs as well. So something obviously went amiss there for her to miss the middle of the season as a 4-year-old pretty lightly raced. But this was a solid, sneaky effort that I think will propel her to a very good effort second off the layoff.
And I think those races down in Florida were better than they appeared on paper. I'm a Queen of Mambo fan. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to bet on her, and we're always looking forward to hearing from you. We can always use your help. Trips and Traps at NYRAInc.com.
Thanks for watching.